So, part one of this week is talking about parallel and perpendicular lines and their slopes. So, let's just jump right in. Parallel lines have the same slopes, okay? So, anytime you hear what kind of slope do parallel lines have, they have the same slope. So, if you look here, we've got some examples. Line 1, the slope is 5/3. So that also means that if they are parallel, line 2's slope should also be the same thing, 5/3. Now the opposite of that is perpendicular. So perpendicular, you flip it and switch the signs. Okay. You will also hear that as perpendicular has negative reciprocal slopes, okay? So negative reciprocal means the opposite, okay? And reciprocal means flip it, okay? So if we look here, if our first slope is 5/3, to make it perpendicular, we have to flip it. So we now have 3 on top, 5 on bottom, and we have to make it negative, the opposite. So if this one was positive, this one now has to be negative. So let's just do a quick little practice before we move on of making, turning numbers into negative reciprocals. So if we have 2/3, the negative reciprocal, I'm gonna flip it. So 3 on top, 2 on bottom. Negative means opposite of this one. So this is positive, so this would be negative. For the next one, -3. The easiest way to do these is to turn any number into a fraction. So to do that, we can always put a 1 underneath of it. So the reciprocal of that is going to be 1/3. And the negative of that is, well, this one is negative, so the opposite of negative is positive. So we'll just leave it. And then the last one, flip it, 5/4. An opposite sign, so opposite of that would be positive. So we get positive 5/4. So now more problems like what you're going to see when we're doing this is giving you an actual equation of a line and asking, are those lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither to each other? So one thing that we have to always remember is that in the equation y equals mx plus b, m is our slope. So whatever is in front of x, that is the slope, okay? So if we look at this problem, we have y equals 4/3 x plus 10. So our slope is 4/3 in that one. And in the second one, we have -3/4. Now you have to ask yourself, parallel means are they the same? So are these two the exact same? No. Perpendicular is negative reciprocals. So did they flip and did the signs switch? Well, here I had 4 on top, 3 on the bottom. Here I have 3 on top, 4 on the bottom. So they flipped. This sign was positive. Now it's negative. So it was the negative reciprocal. So this one is perpendicular. Okay. We look at the second one. We've got 6 is the slope here and -1/6 here. So 6 and -1/6. Now remember, if you just have a whole number by itself, put a 1 underneath of it to make it a fraction to see easier if they're reciprocals. So 6 on top, 1 on bottom. Now 1 on top, 6 on the bottom, positive, and then turn to negative. That's perpendicular. All right, and then this one, we've got 9 and 9. Well, 9 and 9, those are the same numbers, aren't they? So same would mean that they are, oops, I spelled parallel wrong. Parallel. Okay, I think we've got one more. So in front of x is 2 over 9. In front of x is 9 over 2. Well, 2 over 9 and then 9 over 2, they switched, but they're both positive. So it's not a negative reciprocal. Nothing changed signs. So this is neither. Okay. Sometimes you'll be given a graph and asked to determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. You cannot always just go off of what does it look like, okay? So if we remember, our lines, lines that look like that are perpendicular. One's straight up, one is straight across through each other, and they make 90-degree angles right here. They have to do that. If it doesn't make 90-degree angles, it's not perpendicular. And then parallel lines are the lines that look like this. They're straight up and down next to each other. It's like the yellow lines in the middle of the road. Those are parallel lines. They run along with each other at the same place. So if we look at this graph, well, they kind of look like they could be parallel, but we need to double check. And the way that we now know to double check that is parallel means same slope. So what I'm going to do is I have to count the slope of each line. So if I make my little triangle and I count my rise over run, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go over 1. But if I read the graph from left to right, it goes down. So negative 4 over 1. I do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. From left to right, this is negative. So rise over run, negative 4 over 1. They both are negative 4 over 1, so they are parallel. This one is asking if they are perpendicular. So again, find the slope and see if perpendicular means negative reciprocal, or if they're parallel, or if they're neither. So draw my triangle between my points. This one is up 1 over 2, so I'm going to write that up here. This one is up 2 over 1. And the graph from left to right goes down, so it's negative. So 1/2 flips to 2 over 1. We've got the reciprocal part. Positive turns to negative. Check, we've got the negative part. So these are perpendicular. So that's the difference between parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel has the same slope. Perpendicular has negative reciprocals. Use this video to help you complete your work. As always, come back to it if you're not sure if you're doing something right or if you've forgotten. It's always here for you to access. Good luck.